Welcome back. You know, when we first started covering this trial, the Cody Posey trial, it was really called sort of the Sam Donaldson trial because it's Sam Donaldson's ranch where all of this went down. Well, as the details began to trickle out about what happened with Cody Posey and his family, the Hollywood aspect, the famous aspect of Sam Donaldson being connected really started to eke away because these details were bigger than any of us ever expected and to this day end up being some of the most bizarre details in a murder case. At this point, it's a killing case. He's on trial for murder. You know, Cody killed his stepmom. And I can say that because he admits it in court. It's whether it was murder or not that we're dealing with. He killed his stepmom and his dad and his stepmom's daughter. He also had another stepmom at one point. He did. Her name was Sandy Schmid, and she's been testifying in court. And now under cross-examination, the prosecutor is going after her about just how well she knew this boy and whether she perhaps has another ulterior motive in her testimony. Because let's not forget that she and her husband, who lost his daughter to Cody, are supporting this defendant. Joining me in studio today, while Jack Ford is on assignment, is Bill Bloss, veteran criminal defense attorney and civil trial attorney in private practice in Connecticut. He's going to weigh in on all of this in just a moment. But first, you've got to hear this testimony, because if you don't know it really exists, you've got to see it to believe it. Bill Bloss, a jury is sitting there and listening to a man who lost his daughter talk about the defendant and how much he supports this poor defendant and what a victim this poor defendant is. Does it matter that we now have him suing somebody like Sam Donaldson and maybe trying to get something out of it? I mean, that's a lot to suggest that your daughter wasn't worth as much as you might be able to glean from this lawsuit against Sam Donaldson.
It really goes both ways. On the one hand, it would be a cold father who would lie about his daughter and about his stepson.
So easily, too.
So, well, if he's lying.
He looks pretty comfy up there. It doesn't look like he's struggling with these words.
Not at all. It would be a cold dad who would do that if that's what he's doing, if he's lying. On the other hand, it really has pretty tangible or pretty marginal relevance to the issue about what was the father doing to Cody. And I don't know that if even the investigation of possibly filing a case is really all that important.
Because really, what does it matter? Let's say he's suing Sam Donaldson. I don't even know if the case is still alive. We can find that out later. But if he is suing Sam Donaldson over what happened, over this tragedy, can't he still be outraged at what Cody did and still sue Sam Donaldson? And he says it's not for the money. It's for the greater issue of abuse and all the rest. But I mean, can he still have a viable case and be outraged that this defendant did this?
Well, of course, and the prosecution's going a little bit out on a limb here by trying to go after him so heavily, because what are the next witnesses going to say? If the next witnesses are going to corroborate this abuse of Cody, then what about them? They don't have lawsuits. They're not suing Sam Donaldson.
I got news for you. You see this series of files? These are all the next witnesses who all come out with almost the identical stories.
Well,
unbelievable.
So she took a chance here going after him, and I understand why she did it. It's reasonable and rational to do it, but not everybody's making it up. If there are 10 people who say that something happened, chances are pretty good a jury's going to say it happened.
I saw it all the way along every time we got a new juror, every time we got a new witness who jumped on the stand to talk about this abuse, that, oh, this is the star witness. And at this point in the trial, I thought, Jake Schmid is a star witness. He lost his daughter, and he supports this kid who actually pulled the trigger twice. And Cody did it, he said, to shut her up. I mean, he killed Marilee to shut her up. It's got to be brutal as a father to hear that, and yet he still supports this kid because he believes he was so badly abused. That has got to be really strong in the minds of jurors. Jurors can't walk away from that and think, so what?
Right. No, that's easily the worst part of this case, of a case with lots of bad parts. Easily the worst part is the stepsister, because she didn't do anything. What did she do?
She's 13.
Yeah. What did she do? She picked on him. Okay, fine. You don't kill people for that. But the fact that the father is backing Cody up.
That's strong.
Highly unusual, and it's got to be. I don't think too many of the jurors are ever going to have seen anything like that. It's got to make an impact on it.
I'd never seen anything like that. And in fact, a lot of people who worked here at Court TV covered more cases than I had, and been in courtrooms too, that actually defending or prosecuting, had never seen anything like this too. So, very unusual. Nice kid. I think he looks like Orlando Bloom. I think I'm the only one on the crew who thinks so, though. Bill Bloss, I'm not going to ask you that. I'm sure you have your opinions about whether he looks like Orlando Bloom or not, but you did have an opinion about whether the jury would like this kid.
A great witness. great witness. A couple of reasons. One, he seems authentic. He seems just pleasant. And the way he started off his testimony, a lot of times a jury makes up its mind about a witness very quickly when the person starts talking. And did you notice the way when the attorney asked him, well, what do you do? And he tell me about yourself. And, I play sports, I play basketball, I get pretty good grades, and he had that great smile. And it was like he was happy about it, but he didn't want to seem boastful. And he was nervous. It wasn't over-rehearsed, the testimony. Great witness.
So juries just like it when they know they're getting the real goods.
Absolutely. If anybody... It's really hard, it seems to me, looking at that kid and the way he came across to think this guy is stretching the truth.
Right.
And that's just very hard to see in that.
Okay, so let's assume for a moment that everything that Leo Salcido says is absolutely true, and that is that Cody was happy at school, he loved school, but the minute Marilee came around or his parents came around, everything changed, and his demeanor was totally different. So what? Does that mean all of a sudden, well, then the murders are justified because he got nervous around his family? I don't care how much you like this witness.
Yeah, you do get nervous for a reason, and I think he was describing it's a little edgier than just nervousness. That there's something else going on, and in some respects that's even more powerful. That this witness is not saying, Cody told me about all these horrible things and that he'd never told anybody else. And in some respects, the low-key story, the low-key explanation, the observations directly are in some ways more powerful.
I don't know. I mean, I remember when we started this case last year, and I still feel the same way. One of the first things I said was if his defense is that he was abused for his very short life, it better have been really bad abuse, because there are a lot of kids out there who take a backhand, rightly or wrongly. If that's your way of dealing with children out there, you probably should see a shrink, but there are a lot of kids out there who take a backhand and who are worked on the farms or who are not close to their parents. The parents are tough on them. They're not loved, but they don't turn into Charles Manson-style killers. And aren't the jurors going to feel the same way I do?
Well,
it's not enough to tell me that he got nervous around his dad and his sister when they showed up at school.
You're right. You're 100% right. But it is like a puzzle. This is one piece of it, and this witness is not going to get the defense over the goal line. Maybe none of the witnesses are going to get them over the goal line. But it's a 3-yard run.
Yeah.
It's a 6-yard run. It's a short gain. And so by the end of the case, you're either, and remember there are two issues. One is obviously guilt or innocence. The other is sentencing. This is also powerful evidence for the judge to consider. Absolutely. You're trying this case to two different
You're reading my mind.
Well, you got to be thinking about it. You don't hope for a conviction if you're the defense attorney, but you've got to be thinking, if this doesn't go right, I've got another.
You're reading my mind, because Gary Mitchell, the defense attorney in this case, is coming up. He's going to talk to us live in just a few minutes. And one of the big questions I had for him was, were you just playing out this whole trial to tell it to the judge, not so much to the jury, but really to tell it to the judge? Were you just trying to get through to Judge Counts the whole time that you were in this evidentiary phase? Well, ask him that.
That's a good question.
Well, I'll tell you what. You'll hear the answer in
this
moment, as will you, because when you come back, Gary Mitchell's going to join us on the other side of the break. Beth Karras, it's always good to see you, and you do such a great job, and I'm always amazed that you have such retention. It's incredible. I can't remember what I had for breakfast, girl. Thank you, Beth, and thank you also, Bill Bloss, for coming in to do some pinch hitting while Jack's away. It's good to see you, and we're going to come back and see you again.
Good to see you.
Thank you. We have to scoot. The closing arguments is coming up next. It's normally with Nancy Grace. Today with Adora Udoji sitting in. In the meantime, Jack and I will be back here tomorrow at 1, so we'll see you then. You take care.